Okay guys, this is my first video. I don't know really where to start. This is going to be a recovery channel. Take what you want out of it. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to tell you what you should be doing. I'm not here to tell you anything. I'm just here to explain my story and what has worked for me and what I'm doing currently. So, it seems like it was about 10 years ago. Me and my friend had acquired a 40 milligram oxy. Let's back up a little bit. Before that, I was taking Vicodin, Percocet, smoked weed religiously. I've smoked weed all my life. I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Always loved smoking weed. I can't say that the weed put me into taking pills, but I always liked Vicodin. I loved Vicodin. I wouldn't take any Vicodin unless I had 10 of them. I would always swallow 10 Vicodin at a time. It's retarded. But where it starts in my head is I remember me and one of my friends acquired a 40 milligram oxy. And took it over to my other buddy's house, went upstairs, and I remember my other buddy kept saying, "Oh, you guys are crackheads, you should never do that, and this and that, and I'm never going to do that," and we were like, "Oh, shut up, I've taken Percocet and Vicodin, and this was the big rave. Everybody loved the oxys, we didn't know what they were all about, so me and my buddy, we crushed it up, snorted it, and I remember specifically we walked over to the gas station to buy cigarettes, and I remember, excuse me, the Newports were $3 even, and they had just came out with flavored Phillies. First they had the chocolate, which were always disgusting, and then the strawberries came around, and we were always buying strawberry Phillies and Newports. It was always like $3.50 for 2 Phillies and a pack of Newports. So we walked over to the gas station. I think they had the live wire back then. They just come out with live wire, and yeah, we went over there over the gas station over Speedway, and I remember getting over there and be like, "Damn, this is nice, real nice." I loved it. I loved it, and it just progressed and progressed and progressed over time from there. I mean, it was more or less on and off for a little while, and I would say probably 2-3 years later, I was working in Orrville, Ohio, and I had a neighbor that lived down below me that her husband was getting oxys. There were 2 different kinds. Maybe he was getting 40s and 20s. I don't remember, but my connection was right below me. I lived in an apartment building, so my apartment was here and the pill dealer was here. So at that time I lived with my girlfriend at the time, just out of high school. Nothing was really serious. I wasn't dependent on it. I was still using and abusing. I wasn't dependent. Okay, from there I got introduced to Dilaudid. And I was taking Dilaudid, I was snorting Dilaudid, and I had a couple of my friends used to come over and get Dilaudid from me, and I used to get oxys for people, obviously. The guy lived downstairs from me. Obvious. So, that went on for a long time. Well, I can't remember specifically what had happened, but something had happened, and the pill connect disappeared. So it was just left with chasing the Dilaudids and the Percocets, the Vicodins, and whatever I get my hands on, really. So one time I was sitting at a bonfire and my phone rang, and it was one of my friends that called me and asked me if I had any Dilaudids. I said, "Yeah, I have such and such, so many of them, come on over, and they're such and such a piece, come on over, you can get some from me." So think I had just picked them up. They came over and I asked them if they wanted to go upstairs and, hoot a couple of them. That's all I ever did was snort them. I never took pills that didn't have any Tylenol in them. I know people that snort pills like Vicodins and Percocets, but I could never understand snorting the Tylenol. That was just kind of dumb for me. It just never really... I always would rather swallow them than snort them if they had Tylenol in them. That was just something I did. But that's the day I got introduced to the needle. And I shot 2 8-milligram Dilaudids that day, and I fell in love. Fell in love. Best thing ever, shooting a Dilaudid, man. It was so nice. It's wild even thinking about it. Alright, so it just progressed from the Dilaudids. That's where I started. This was probably 12 years ago, 13 years ago. So after that, I think they dried up for a while, and then I was introduced to heroin. After I was on the needle, it wasn't a big deal. I would shoot whatever. It didn't matter what it was. Cocaine, pills, heroin, anything that you could melt down and shoot, I melt down and shot it. Anything that I showed interest in doing, I did it. And I've always been a person that if you're going to do something, make it worth your while, because I've always done everything in excess, which is not good. It's not good. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I was still chasing pills. At this point, I started getting sick. I knew that I was sick and dependent. I had to have them. I could not go to work. I could not get out of bed. I couldn't do anything unless I had my drugs. But we're going on 10 minutes, so I'm going to split this up into a few parts. This will be part 1. I'll come back with part 2 and possibly a part 3, so we'll see. Alright guys, this is going to be just my story and what I'm doing. So, like I said before, I'm not going to tell you what to do, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Just take from it what you want. If you see something that you like that might work for you, that's fine. But I'm just here to explain what I had going on and what I'm doing now. But we'll stop there where I got on the needle. So I'll pick up next time from where I picked up the needle. Alright guys, peace.